Now we're going to talk about lipids. Lipids are fats. There are 3 types of lipids that are important. And the first one is called a triglyceride. So this thing right here. And a triglyceride, if you can think tri meaning 3, is basically a glycerol molecule connected to 3 fatty acid chains. So fatty acid chains are chains of carbons and hydrogens, basically with one double bonded oxygen there. So this is a fatty acid chain. This is a fatty acid chain. And this is a fatty acid chain. So there's 3 of them. This thing right here is called a glycerol. It's 3 carbons. It's got hydrogens around here and then 3 oxygens. And through dehydration synthesis, and this is one dehydration synthesis, another dehydration synthesis, and another one, it connects the fatty acids to the glycerol. That makes a triglyceride. Triglycerides are basically your neutral fats. These are storage fats. So triglycerides, they function in fuel storage, insulation, right? They provide protection and warmth. Okay. And they are hydrophobic. They don't like water. Okay. So there's basically 2 flavors of triglycerides. And we have saturated triglycerides, or saturated fat, saturated lipids, and we have unsaturated fats. Okay, so saturated fats are literally saturated with hydrogens. So all the carbons are completed there for more electrons through hydrogens. So you can look at it as saturated with hydrogen molecules. So all of these right here, here's a carbon, and then the other 2 bonds are 2 hydrogens. So basically it looks like carbon, 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 hydrogen, 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 and so on. Okay? An unsaturated fat or fatty acid has at least 1 double bond. So instead of looking like this, where all the carbons have a hydrogen, one of those then will look like this. So there'll be a double bond here, and then whatever is over there. Okay? When there is a double bond, it makes the fatty acid have a kink. So even though I have it as straight there, it would actually look like this. Where the rest of it would be straight. So it would have like a little kink here. Okay. So unsaturated fats are going to be, oils, so vegetable oils. and things like that. Saturated are going to be solid at room temperature. So that's going to be like butter or lard. Okay, animal fats are saturated. Coconut fat or coconut oil is saturated. Okay, so vegetable oils, meaning like canola, any of the corn oil, whatever, different oils, they're going to be, fluid, liquids at room temperature. Okay, so that's the first type of lipid. The second type of lipid is called a phospholipid. So that's this thing here. And again, it still has a glycerol, same as what's here, the glycerol, but instead of having 3 fatty acid chains, it only has 2. 1, 2. And one of them is unsaturated. One of them has a double bond in there. So it looks like it has, and this is what the kink looks like, where it's bent. Okay? This other carbon is going to be attached on the other side with a phosphate group. See the phosphate here? Okay? So this group here, this phosphate group, is polar. It's hydrophilic. This is hydrophilic. This area is hydrophobic. So this little thing, it looks like a little man, and this area up here is the polar head, hydrophilic head, and this over here is the nonpolar tail or hydrophobic tail. So it looks kind of like this. Okay, and phospholipids are important because they make up our plasma membranes. Okay, so all of these things, the plasma membrane is a double layer of phospholipids where the tails are facing one another and the heads are facing outwards. So one side is facing outside of the cell and the other side is facing inside the cell. The last type of fat is a steroid. And the main steroid in our bodies is cholesterol. And it's different because it's got this weird ring sort of makeup where everything else is like chains. We've got chains of carbons. These are rings of carbons. Remember these little things on here are carbons on the right there. So these are carbon molecules set up in rings. There's 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4 here. And then there's some kind of, group hanging off of here. Some functional group hanging off of there. Okay. Steroids are super important as well. And cholesterol is, of course, is the main one, the one that's in the body. But without cholesterol, cholesterol is embedded in our cell membranes. Actually stabilizes the cell membrane. Hormones, we have steroid hormones that are made from cholesterol. You can have steroid hormones like testosterone or estrogen or progesterone or cortisol or any of those hormones without cholesterol, which is a steroid. Bile salts come from cholesterol. And without bile, you can't absorb fat when you eat it, so we need to have that. And it's also a component of vitamin D. It helps to make calcitriol, which is active vitamin D. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, which is really kind of a hormone. Anyway, those are the fats of the body, and make sure you know all 3 of those and where you find them, what they're for. So the next video will be about proteins.